Eight Mustangs, each more dangerous than the last, slipped through 1967 as if built for another world. Some were factory secrets, others wild dealer creations, and one became a Hollywood outlaw. Hidden in plain sight, these machines weren't just fast, they were forbidden, untouchable, and far too lethal for the streets. Top 1, 1967 Shelby GT500 Super Snake prototype. One car in 1967 stood so far above the rest that even Shelby engineers whispered about it in awe. It wasn't meant for the streets, nor even for the tracks. It was born to chase thunderbolts. That car was the GT500 Super Snake, a machine so secret and so fast it blurred the line between prototype and myth. On the outside it looked like a Shelby GT500 long hood, aggressive stance, and unmistakable dual racing stripes. But under the fiberglass, Carroll Shelby's crew slipped in a beast that was never intended for production. The same 427 cubic inch V8 side oiler from the Le Mans-winning Ford GT40 M2. With aluminum heads, competition cam, and a race-tuned exhaust, the engine pumped out a staggering 520 horsepower, far beyond anything the public could buy in 1967. Inside, the cockpit remained stripped but functional. Wood-rimmed steering wheel, Shelby gauges, and bucket seats with harnesses that hinted this wasn't for comfort, but for control. The real shock came when Shelby tested it. On a closed Texas highway, the Super Snake topped 170 mph, making it the fastest Mustang ever built at the time. It wasn't just faster than every Camaro or Firebird, it was faster than nearly every production car on Earth. Ford had considered building 50 units, but the cost was astronomical. The Goodyear Thunderbolt tires it tested with wore down so quickly that mass production was impossible. In the end, only one Super Snake was ever made. This lone prototype became a legend. For decades, collectors hunted whispers of its existence. When it resurfaced at auction, the price exploded past $2 million, cementing it as one of the most valuable Mustangs of all time. It wasn't just a car, it was Shelby's personal experiment to see how far he could push the Mustang platform before it left Earth's gravity. But if the Super Snake was too wild for the streets, what about the Mustang that Shelby built to tame America's racetracks? The next chapter reveals a machine built not for auctions or myths, but for victory lanes and checkered flags. Top 2 Kahuna 1967 Mustang 390 GT Fastback S-Code FE 390 V8. Not every Mustang legend was built in Shelby's California shop. Some rolled out of Ford's own factories, disguised as street cars but hiding lethal firepower. The 1967 Mustang 390 GT Fastback was one of those sleepers, slashed code on the VIN, and a big block lurking under its long hood, ready to terrorize the boulevards. On the outside, the Fastback looked sharp but restrained. The Fastback roofline flowed into a short rear deck, giving it a sleek, muscular profile. Chrome bumpers framed the grille, GT badging marked its intent, and dual exhausts hinted at something nastier beneath. Slip inside and you found Ford's luxury performance touch, wood grain dash inserts, deep bucket seats, GT instrumentation, and a center console shifter. It wasn't stripped bare like a Shelby racer, this was a gentleman's muscle car. But the real magic sat up front. The 390 cubic inch FE V8, officially rated at 320 horsepower and 427 pound-feet of torque. That rating was conservative. Real-world tests proved the 390 GT could run quarter miles in the mid-14s, sometimes quicker, with tuning putting it shoulder-to-shoulder with big block Camaros and GTOs of the day. Ford didn't build it in small numbers either. Nearly 28,800 SCO Mustangs were produced in 1967, making it far more accessible than the exotic Shelbys. But in the hands of the right driver, the 390 GT was a brutal street brawler that could humiliate rivals while looking deceptively civil. Collectors today prize the 390 Fastback because it represents balance, the style of the first-generation Mustang, the practicality of a Ford factory build, and the brute strength of a big-block V8. While Shelbys draw headlines, Seco cars have quietly climbed in value, especially when equipped with 4-speeds and performance rear gears. They're proof that not every Mustang hero wore stripes, some just needed that S stamped in the VIN to prove their pedigree. Yet if the S-Code Fastback proved Ford could build a big-block street terror, Shelby's next creation took that idea and cranked it to an entirely new level. A GT500 built in Nightmist blue, tuned for one purpose: Domination on the drag strip. Top 3, 1967, Shelby GT500 Nightmist Blue, factory racer, drag prepped. Some Mustangs were born for the street, others for the circuit, but this one came from the factory already aimed at the drag strip. Cloaked in a dark Nightmist blue finish, it looked like a gentleman's Shelby GT500, yet under the skin, it was a quarter-mile assassin, straight from Shelby's own skunkworks. The base was the brand new 1967 GT500, already menacing with its elongated front end, dual scoops, and wide stance. But Shelby's drag-prepped racer wasn't about appearance, it was about unholy acceleration. The standard 428 Police Interceptor V8 was pulled apart and rebuilt with high-flow heads, hotter camshaft, aluminum intake, and dual Holley forebarrels. The result? Nearly 500 horsepower, channeled through a heavy-duty 4-speed and backed by 4.11 gears. The rear wheel arches were subtly flared to house drag slicks, while the suspension was stiffened and reinforced for brutal launches. Inside, most of the luxury trim vanished. The wood wheel remained, but the rest was stripped to essentials: tachometer, toggle switches, and a harness that locked the driver down like a fighter pilot. When it hit the strip, the Nightmist Blue GT500 stunned everyone. Tested in quarter-mile blasts, it regularly broke into the mid-11-second range territory few street cars could even dream of in 1967. This wasn't a back-alley hot rod, it was a Shelby-built, factory-back drag weapon. And while most GT500s carried luxury alongside speed, this one abandoned pretenses of comfort. It was rare to begin with. Shelby prepped just a handful like this. Perhaps fewer than 10 ever received the full drag treatment. Collectors whisper about it because it blurred the line between showroom car and dedicated race machine. The Nightmist Blue factory racer proved Ford and Shelby weren't content with road dominance. They wanted the Mustang feared in every arena, including the quarter mile. Today's surviving examples are near unicorns, valued not only for performance, but for being Shelby's own declaration of war against the drag strip. But while this racer came tuned from Shelby's factory, another GT500 took things even further by ripping out its heart and swapping in one of Ford's most feared engines. Top 4, 1967, Shelby GT500 427. Side oiler, swap, dealer special. If the Nightmist Blue factory racer was Shelby's official drag strip weapon, this next Mustang was something even wilder because it wasn't built by Shelby at all. It was born from a dealer's daring experiment, dropping Ford's legendary 427 side oiler into a GT500 and unleashing a monster the factory never officially offered. On the outside, it looked like a standard 1967 GT500, long fiberglass hood with twin scoops, functional brake ducts, and bold racing stripes stretching nose to tail. Inside, the car carried Shelby's signature luxury performance mix wood-rimmed wheel, full rally gauge cluster, and deep vinyl buckets. But under the hood, the standard 428 Police Interceptor was gone. In its place sat the 427 cubic inch FE side oiler, an engine designed for NASCAR and Le Mans, famous for its durability at high RPM. Tuned with solid lifters, forged internals, and dual Holleys, output soared well above 500 horsepower. The swap wasn't factory sanctioned, but certain high-performance Ford dealers made it happen for customers who wanted the ultimate street predator. The result was shocking. Quarter-mile times in the low 11s, nearly 2 seconds faster than a stock GT500. With the side oiler screaming to 7,000 RPM, the car was almost uncontrollable on street tires, shredding traction through first and second gear. Production numbers are a mystery, but historians estimate fewer than 10 dealer-swapped 427 GT500s were ever built in 1967. Each one was essentially a handcrafted outlaw. Today, these side oiler GT500s are almost mythical. They combine the rarity of a Shelby with the raw racing pedigree of Ford's most feared big block. At auctions, they command prices deep into the millions when one can even be authenticated. For purists, they blur the line between Shelby and Ford's racing division. For enthusiasts, they represent the forbidden fruit of the Mustang world, a car too powerful for mass production, yet too legendary to ignore. But while these dealer-built monsters rewrote what a GT500 could be, Shelby himself wasn't done experimenting. He had another car on the production line, smaller in displacement but razor-sharp in attitude. Top 5: 1967 Shelby GT352-89 Hi-Pi V8. If the GT500S were blunt force weapons, the GT350 was Shelby's rapier, light, agile, and built for precision. In 1967, when muscle cars ballooned with big blocks, the GT350th oozed defiant, with its small but vicious 289 Hi-Po V8, proving that speed wasn't just about cubic inches. Visually, the 67 GT350 looked nearly identical to its big block sibling. It carried the same long fiberglass hood with scoops, side air vents, and racing stripes that screamed performance. Inside, the cockpit reflected Shelby's blend of sport and refinement. Wood-rimmed steering wheel, full rally-gauge cluster, and snug bucket seats. But the real story was the engine. The 289 cubic inch K-Cody Hi-Pi V8 delivered a factory rating of 306 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. With its solid lifters, high-flow intake, and aggressive cam profile, the little small block loved to rev where big blocks gasped for breath. Backed by a close ratio 4-speed, the GT350 wasn't built for drag racing glory. It was engineered for balanced performance on road courses and winding streets. Many dismissed it at first. Why buy a GT350 when you could get the torque-heavy GT500 with nearly 100 more horses on paper? But on the road, the GT350 revealed its secret: balance. Weighing hundreds of pounds less over the nose, the car turned sharper, braked harder, and carried speed through corners the heavier GT500S struggled with. In skilled hands, the GT350 could outdance cars with far greater horsepower. Production numbers for 1967 totaled just 1,175 GT350S, making it far rarer than the GT500. Collectors now revere the 67 GT350 as the last of the true small block Shelbys before the model shifted toward more comfort and away from raw performance. Its mix of rarity, high-revving character, and racing DNA has made it a six-figure collectible that grows more desirable each year. For purists, it embodies the original Shelby philosophy: lightweight, high-strung, and engineered for driving, not just showing. But while the GT350 carved corners with finesse, the spotlight soon swung back to raw muscle. The next Mustang was a street car that blurred dangerously close to outlaw status. Top 6: 1967 Shelby GT500. 428 Police Interceptor V8. When most people picture a 1967 Shelby, this is the car that comes to mind: the GT500 with its earth-shaking 428 Police Interceptor V8. It wasn't the rare prototype or the lightweight racer. It was the street king, built to dominate highways with raw American torque. The 67 GT500 carried an aggressive stance that instantly separated it from the standard Mustang. A longer fiberglass nose with twin scoops, functional brake ducts, and bold stripes stretched the length of the car. The rear wore a ducktail spoiler and sequential taillights, borrowed from the Mercury Cougar. Inside, Shelby offered luxury alongside menace. Wood-rimmed wheel, roll bar with shoulder harnesses, full rally instruments, and plush vinyl bucket seats. But the real centerpiece lay under the hood: a massive 428 cubic inch Police Interceptor V8, fed by dual 4-barrel Hollies. Officially rated at 355 horsepower, real output was closer to 400, backed by 420 pound-feet of torque. Mated to either a 4-speed manual or heavy-duty automatic, the GT500 launched like a cannonball. What shocked the public was just how civilized it looked while hiding such savagery. The GT500 could thunder down a quarter-mile in the low 14S, yet cruised with comfort thanks to power steering, air conditioning, and optional AM/FM stereo. It wasn't just a race car, it was a luxury missile. And despite its high-performance hardware, Ford and Shelby built a surprising number of them: just over 2,000 GT500S in 1967. That meant the average buyer could walk into a dealer and drive home in one of the most powerful street machines of the decade. The 67 GT500 cemented Shelby's reputation as the ultimate Mustang tuner. It combined mass-market availability with race-bred DNA, making it one of the most influential muscle cars ever built. Today, pristine examples command six-figure prices, while ultra-rare options and color combinations can push past the $1 million mark. The Police Interceptor engine may have been intended for patrol cars, but in a Shelby, it became an outlaw. Yet for all its factory-built dominance, another Mustang legend was born not from Ford or Shelby, but from Hollywood. an icon known simply as Eleanor. Top 7 1967 Shelby GT500 Eleanor clone, movie, and tribute builds. Some Mustangs became legends on the track, others on the street. But one gained immortality not through racing, but through cinema. The Eleanor GT500, the star of Gone in 60 Seconds, turned a 1967 Shelby into a pop culture outlaw that defined cool for a new generation. The Eleanor design wasn't born in Ford's factories or Shelby's shops. It was created by Hollywood, blending the aggressive DNA of the GT500 with custom touches that made it unforgettable on screen. The 1967 Fastback body wore flared fenders, a unique front fascia with integrated driving lights, side exit exhausts, and a dramatic ducktail spoiler. Its metallic pepper gray paint shimmered under studio lights, while twin black stripes tied it back to Shelby's racing heritage. Inside, the tribute builds featured modernized buckets, racing harnesses, and custom touches like Go Baby Go nitrous switches, details that made the interior feel more like a fighter jet than a classic muscle car. Under the hood, tribute builders typically installed Ford small blocks, stroked big blocks, or modern crate motors, ranging anywhere from 350 to over 600 horsepower. What made Eleanor unique wasn't horsepower, it was iconography. When Nicolas Cage piloted one in the 2000 remake, the car became an instant legend, sparking a flood of tribute builds across the world. Ironically, no original 1967 GT500S left the factory as Eleanor. Every single one is either a movie prop or a fan-built clone. Yet demand skyrocketed so high that licensed builders began producing official Eleanor continuation cars. The result? A cultural phenomenon. While collectors battle for original Shelbys, Eleanor clones have carved their own lane in the market, with some selling for over $500,000. Critics might dismiss them as replicas, but to fans, they're icons, symbols of rebellion, style, and speed. Eleanor proved that a Mustang doesn't need factory pedigree to become a legend. Sometimes the silver screen is enough to etch a car into history. But while Eleanor became Hollywood's outlaw, Ford's own factory still had one more surprise in 1967. A big block Mustang you could buy straight off the lot, stamped with an S-code 390, that made the GTA a true sleeper. Top 8 1967 Mustang GTA 390, S-code 390 FEV8. Not every secret Mustang wore stripes or carried Shelby's name. Some prowled the streets disguised as family cars, yet carried the muscle to terrify anything that pulled alongside. The 1967 Mustang GTA 390 was that wolf in sheep's clothing, a factory-built sleeper with big block muscle under a polished veneer. On the outside, the GTA looked refined. The Fastback and coupe versions wore clean lines, subtle GT badging, and optional vinyl tops that added a touch of formality. Chrome bumpers gleamed, while dual exhaust tips were the only external clue that something serious lay beneath the hood. Inside, the GTA earned its A badge, standing for the automatic transmission that came standard with the GT package. Buyers found wood grain trim, padded dashboards, deep bucket seats, and optional consoles, blending muscle with comfort. But the real prize sat under that long hood. The 390 cubic inch FE Big Block, factory rated at 320 horsepower and 427 pound-feet of torque. Ford didn't advertise it as a race car, yet the 390 GTA could rip the quarter mile in the mid-14s, sometimes quicker with minor tuning. It was quick enough to spar with GTOs, Camaros, and Roadrunners, yet civilized enough for daily commuting. More importantly, Ford built the GTA in significant numbers, roughly 18,000 units in 1967, making it far more accessible than Shelby's exotics. That availability turned it into the everyman's muscle Mustang, a car anyone could walk into a dealership and drive home. Today, the 390 GTA carries a different kind of mystique. It's not as rare as the Super Snake or as glamorous as Eleanor, but it represents a hidden truth about the Mustang story. Power wasn't reserved for prototypes or racers. Ford gave everyday buyers access to big block muscle wrapped in comfort and style. Collectors now chase well-preserved GTAs, especially fastbacks, for their blend of accessibility, performance, and historical significance. And so the GTA 390 closes this chapter, a car built for the masses, yet fast enough to earn whispered respect on the street. Proof that in 1967, even the most unassuming Mustang could carry a secret too fast to ignore. And there you have it, the 8 secret Mustangs of 1967 that pushed beyond limits and blurred the line between legend and outlaw. From Shelby's prototypes to Ford's factory sleepers, each car tells a story of power, risk, and rebellion that still resonates decades later. Which one blew your mind the most? The untouchable Super Snake, the Hollywood Eleanor, or the unassuming GTA 390? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like if you enjoyed this ride, subscribe for more muscle car legends, and ring the bell so you never miss the next chapter of Muscle Cars Revolution.